everyone. Welcome to the Powerhouse Woman Show. What happens when what you could really use, what you really need, isn't there? On today's show, we sit down with Angelica Harris, founder and CEO of Tutors for Us, about how she not only saw the need, did something about it, and in the process built a very successful college pre-test company. Angelica, thank you so much for joining us on the Powerhouse Woman Show.
Thank you for having me.
You have accomplished a whole lot in a short period of time. And one of the things I would like to get your view of, and one of the things I want to talk to you about is when someone has a need and they search for it and don't find it, and they decide to create it for themselves and eventually for others. What's that process like? Because when you found yourself with the ACT with a 16, not close to what you needed to get scholarships, so many ways and paths and ideas and mindset traps you could have gotten into. So once you realized that you needed to create what you want, what was that process like, and what could you share with our audience about what to do?
I was taken aback by my 16. Because I was a straight A student, I came from, at least I thought, a really great, prominent school, K through 12. And the 16 did not reflect my abilities. I also had strong desires to go to a top tier institution, and I know I needed scholarships. I come from a very large family, so I knew I needed, to get a full ride somewhere. And a 16 was not going to allot me those opportunities. I then took a really drastic step and left my brick and mortar school and homeschooled myself. And just within 7 months, I call myself like reverse engineering the test. Doubled my score to a 32 and made perfect score on the math section. So with this much higher test score, I was then offered over $1.5 million in college scholarships. And I knew I had something special and had to share it with other students.
I'm intrigued, Angelica, by you said you reverse engineered. I think a lot of times when powerhouse women are looking to do something that maybe hasn't been done before, or they don't really know how to do it, or they keep waiting for more certification, there's the old fashioned reverse engineering it. How did that play out? How were you able to say, this is what I'm missing, and this is what successful people have done, and here is how I can use it?
What I realized, and this is, many people are afraid of standardized tests, but actually there's actually many reasons why actually I do appreciate standardized tests. Is one, that every exam is literally the same. I mean, the questions will be reworded, but when you think about the concepts that are evaluated and the format, that's all the same across every exam. So I took a lot of tests, I think over a dozen ACT exams, and I started finding patterns. I then also realized that I'm getting these questions wrong because I literally just don't understand the concept. So I had this huge spreadsheet I made for myself that had all the important concepts on the ACT. I categorized them from easy, medium to hard. I then found connections between the concepts and created strategies and formulas that, okay, when I see something like this, I'm going to think about this part. And so, yeah, it just became this huge spreadsheet. And that's why I call it like reverse engineer, because it's really me starting from the end point and working my way backwards.
You come from a large family, New Orleans based, parents are doing all that they can do. They know that for you to get to a top tier school, the tuition would be astronomical. I mean, you have to think about all of those things. And then you made the decision, which I think is a powerhouse woman move, that you were going to homeschool yourself.
Yeah.
How was that experience? And did you feel, number one, like get a lot of pushback that, oh, this is crazy, number one. And number two, what about feeling isolated and alone? Or were you so laser focused as to what you were working on and trying to figure out that you were able to put some of those things aside?
Yeah, I knew I had to homeschool myself. I knew it was very drastic, but as my dad always told me, drastic dreams require drastic effort. So I had to take this. I knew that this a lot going homeschooling was going to allow me the time to one, really focus on my ACT score, and two, also my academics. I did have more time to pursue, higher level courses like AP courses, which is like advanced placement courses, and also have time for my extracurricular. So I was a competitive golfer, and I traveled to multiple states. So doing online school, homeschooling was allowed me that flexibility. Now, in terms of the change, it did feel super different from waking up early and going in the car, riding with my siblings to school versus just waking up and now staying at home. So I did have to get used to that difference, but I really try to keep myself still connected with, my former classmates, and also like I was a competitive golfer, so I still was around students and young people my age, but it did pay off in the end.
So when you looked at what was missing for you to get you from a 16 to a whatever, and then it was a 16 to the top score. So basically, when did you realize you were on the right track for you?
I realized that when I took the test untimed and got a 29. So that was really, I was like, wait, whoa, like this never happened. Typically, when I'm taking a practice test, I'm getting like a 12 or like a 14. And then all of a sudden, I got a 29. And I even scored a 29 on the reading section. So reading has always been my lowest scoring section. I kind of consider myself more of a math and science person than reading and English. So that was like you know, the catalyst. I knew like I was onto something with this strategy and this approach of teaching myself this exam.
And so we're kind of moving around on your story because it is a fascinating journey. So the reality check of the 16 ACT score, not so good. That you're going to get some help, and you're going to also look at not going the traditional route with schooling, homeschooling yourself, and then getting some ACT prep. But realizing when you looked around in the room, it didn't reflect you and it didn't reflect what you needed, because by then you had figured out where the gap was.
The stats show us that less than 5% of African American students are scoring above a 20 on all four sections of the ACT. And this was reported by the ACT in 2023. And I like that also took me aback. I'm like, what? So, for example, living in Louisiana, for a student to qualify for top scholarship, they need to score at least a 20. So that means there's so many students that are not able to afford college, or not because they're not scoring above a 20 on the ACT. And I actually, right after I got, doubled my score, my dad's friend's like, all right, you need to tutor my son. He needs to get that same success. And I got his score to a 27. Then I tutored my younger brother and got his score from a 19 to a 28. And he went to USC. And I was like, okay, and so I continued doing that all throughout college. And I actually ended up doing a master's in computer science. And this is where actually I identified how I can scale my methodology. And that's how Top Tutors for Us was formed.
As a CEO, of course, you started Top Tutors for Us. What do you know about yourself today that you didn't know about yourself when you first started?
You're asking a lot of really good questions. That's a great, great question. I've learned that, well, one, just how resilient I am. It takes a lot. Like when I tell you initially, when I found the Top Tutors, I had so much determined just from like this individual saying like, what, why are you only focused on Black students? That's a small market. This should be a nonprofit. Like why, it was pretty negative, but just something in me just told me like keep going at it, keep working at it, and like the model will figure out itself. And so far we grew over 4 times last year. I officially launched Top Tutors about 3.5 years ago, and we are every year we're growing by 3-4 times. So this year we're gonna have 5 times increase. So I'm really just excited. And big thing I've taken away from being in business is if you do great work, if you are excellent and showing those results, you will get those customers.
Because there is so many people who have something to say about your audacious dream, your big goal, what you want to do. The courage comes in knowing how to filter out what you need with people just having an opinion. Was that difficult, or was that something that was instilled within you from your family and your parents to
Yeah,
trust yourself?
yeah, my parents definitely instilled in me to be confident as a young woman, to just chase my dreams, to believe in myself. And my parents, they instill into all of me and my other five siblings, to be leaders, like not to be followers. That my mom always preached that to us. They're like, you're the leader, like follow what you believe, trusting what you believe in, and keep doing the right thing, keep working hard. Hard work pays off. So I think that's definitely carried over to everything that I'm doing, and I guess anything that I will do in the future.
Absolutely. So, anything that we should be on the lookout for as far as what you're doing? Or do you do a lot of speaking? I would imagine people want to know what this is and how, like, calling you up and saying, okay, we want my son and daughter in the program as well.
Yeah, if they like to enroll their child, definitely visit us at toptutorsforus.com. They can enroll on our website. And we actually just launched our proprietary web app, so that's really exciting. It has a lot of fun features. We've gamified the homework and programming for students, and on top of that, they get a tutor who looks like them. So I think that's also encouraging. And yeah, so follow us on visit toptutorsforus.com. Also follow us on all socials, Top Tutors for Us. And in terms of speaking engagement, they can find some of my past speaking engagements on our website. So we were just featured in yahoo.com. So that was pretty cool.
Well, congrats. That's a big deal. Congratulations on. You see what can happen when powerhouse women decide to take a stance and do something about what they need. That's our show for today. Thank you for joining us, and join us again next time for the Powerhouse